Zach Wilson is done as the Jets quarterback. But I still think he has talent. The dude can run around. He's got a good arm. He's a talented young man. He's 23 years old. And I don't like that people are ready to just throw Zach Wilson in the garbage. Go be a stockbroker, dude. Football didn't work out. I don't know. I want to see him get a second chance. I'd love to see Zach Wilson play with confidence for once. He hasn't looked like a guy who believes in himself in a while with the Jets. I'd like to see him with a different coach in a different situation. There are at least 9 places I'd love to see Zach Wilson go. I'm going to go through them in no particular order, but number 1 is Washington. Imagine Zach Wilson going to Washington and getting to sit behind Taylor Heinicke and develop. He started day 1 as a rookie. Day 1, 2021 against Carolina. He was a starting quarterback week 1 for the Jets. He never got to sit and learn. And Washington is a borderline playoff team. They're not going to have a high first-round pick. They're not really in a position to draft a quarterback in the first round. So Washington, Taylor Heinicke's their guy until they find someone more talented and better than Taylor Heinicke. Maybe Zach Wilson can become that guy over time. I like the idea of taking the flyer on Zach Wilson. You got good receivers. You got a quarterback figured out now. Why not add Zach Wilson to your roster and see if in time he can develop into a better quarterback for you to have as a franchise quarterback? He's really talented, and I hope someone takes a chance on him. Another place I'd love to see Zach Wilson is Minnesota. The Vikings are loaded with weapons everywhere on offense. They've got this awesome offensive head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Let Zach Wilson be the backup quarterback to Kirk Cousins. And maybe someday he'll get another shot. Kirk Cousins gets sick and can't play or gets hurt. You never know. I want to see Zach Wilson somewhere with a coach who would help him out, help him grow, help him develop. And then maybe when he gets a shot, he's more prepared and plays well. Detroit is also an interesting idea. Detroit has Jared Goff at quarterback. They've got a couple early first-round picks. I am convinced the Detroit Lions, I almost said Jets, I'm convinced the Detroit Lions need to spend their high draft picks this year building their roster, building around Jared Goff. What's the harm in bringing in Zach Wilson, a talented backup that could learn the system and maybe see if something's there? I like that idea. That's fun. Why not? New Orleans quarterback situation is a disaster. They also do not have a first-round pick. The Saints don't. So again, you bring in a talented young quarterback, Zach Wilson. What's really that different between Zach Wilson and a young quarterback in the NFL draft? It's 2 guys who are unproven. You got a 23-year-old young quarterback, Zach Wilson. You got to give him confidence, but I view Zach Wilson as an available quarterback who's young and comparable to somebody in the NFL draft. And I would rather have Zach Wilson and try to make it work with him and teach him how to play quarterback than some of the guys available in the NFL draft this year. I don't know what it hurts to bring in Zach Wilson and try to develop him. And for the Saints, is Andy Dalton your guy long term? What's the risk with trying to bring in Zach Wilson? Here's the thing. I'm not ready to just throw Zach Wilson away. Again, he's a former number 2 overall pick. There's a reason for that. I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to hear what went wrong from his perspective. I worry that maybe Zach Wilson's toxic mom is kind of a problem. And Zach Wilson is not going to do an interview. Doing that would only hurt his brand. He can't win. It's better to say nothing and just quietly work. But I wish I could hear what's going on in his head. Why he thinks things have gone wrong with the Jets and what he's working on as a quarterback. Zach Wilson, if you're out there, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you, and we can have a quiet conversation off the record. It wouldn't be the first time I've done that with high-level quarterbacks, and I'd love to understand what is going on in your head. Now, Zach Wilson would also be really interesting in Miami. Tua gets hurt a lot. Let's just acknowledge clumsy Tua, likes to hold on to the football way too long and take unnecessary hits, and he misses a couple games almost every year. I think Mike McDaniel coaching Zach Wilson would be awesome. I think he could instill confidence in Zach Wilson the same way he did with Tua Tagovailoa. And then throwing a Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle makes every quarterback look better. I think that would be really interesting to see Zach Wilson go to Miami, be the backup to Tua, and maybe get a shot someday and see what he can do. all Zach Wilson really needs is to develop, grow, and then when he gets another shot somewhere, if he gets another shot somewhere, do well. Maybe the Giants are an option. He'd get to stay in the same city. I don't know if that's a good thing for Zach Wilson, but you get to play for Brian Daboll, a head coach who, as the offensive coordinator in Buffalo, really helped develop Josh Allen. The Giants have questions about Daniel Jones. I'm not sure what they're going to do in the draft. I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. So how else are you going to get an alternative solution at quarterback to Daniel Jones? I think you let Zach Wilson be the backup and see if maybe over time he could eventually challenge Daniel Jones as the best quarterback for the Giants. Tampa is a great option. We don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. If Tom Brady stays, you get to sit behind Tom Brady and grow and be a sponge and try to learn from him. If Tom Brady moves on, they got great weapons in Tampa. They've got a struggling offensive line. Really what they need, frankly, I watch a lot of the Buccaneers, they need a quarterback who's mobile. The Buccaneers need a quarterback who, when the offensive line makes a mistake, they need a quarterback who can make someone miss and extend a play. Zach Wilson can do that. I think Tampa's an interesting possibility. Maybe Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill isn't good enough in Tennessee. And eventually they're going to want a better option. But you can't spend first-round picks on a quarterback when you got Ryan Tannehill who's good enough. Maybe Zach Wilson could become the guy in Tennessee. Here's the worst option I think of, but it's maybe possible. What if the Jets traded for Derek Carr? What if you trade Zach Wilson and a first-round pick? Like, it would not be... You'd be trading Derek Carr for a draft pick and maybe a player, and then you can throw Zach Wilson in there. I'm not sure that the Jets would even want Derek Carr. Again, I don't think this is the best idea I have. But how would Zach Wilson do playing for Josh McDaniel? Josh McDaniels, there's an S there in Vegas. Last one, this isn't on my list, but how crazy would it be if Zach Wilson went to the Patriots? Go be Mac Jones' backup. Maybe eventually he's better. I don't know. I'm throwing stuff out there at this point. Zach Wilson failed with the Jets, but people are so quick to just throw away young quarterbacks. And I don't know why there isn't more of an attitude of, why don't we help them and develop them and teach them? I mean, it's just, he's a waste of talent. He clearly wants to win. I don't think he's happy. I think he just needs a different situation with coaching who will work with him differently. And I just, to ignore a guy completely like Zach Wilson feels wrong when he's got so much talent. I'd love to work with him if I was a head coach. I'd say, let's bring him in. Let's try to help this kid. He's 23 years old. How different, really, is a guy, Zach Wilson, who, if you trade for him, it's a late draft pick you would trade for Zach Wilson. You wouldn't trade a fourth-round pick to get Zach Wilson to see what he can do. Like, draft a quarterback in the fourth round or trade for Zach Wilson. What's a better option? I think Zach Wilson's available. And I hope someone takes a chance on him because I think there's potential there. He's got a lot to learn. He's got to develop. I wonder if some of what happened with the Jets is just the situation and the pressure cooker of playing for the Jets and your job's at risk and all this stuff. I don't think he handles the media very well. And all I just wonder if Zach Wilson could do better in a different scenario. And I'd love to see him get a shot somewhere else. So I'm not ready to just totally throw away Zach Wilson, and I hope he goes somewhere else where he's got a shot to succeed.